Okay, so I had a number of conversations with Laura and David quite a number of months back. And it was really about talking about what Google is looking to do next, specific to the SMB channel sales. So before I dive into sort of what we're thinking about and what we're looking at in terms of opportunities, I thought I'd just give everybody a reminder, where we came from in terms of our journey and the business that we built. I think Ben Wood is here, and he's been here, I think, 5-6 years, and he was the person that actually built out most of the channel sales team. So what we actually did very early on was we looked at our opportunity, and we decided that there were some key categories that we could actually go after fairly easily, low-hanging fruit. And as you can see here, we're looking for partners that had direct sales forces. They had a direct relationship with the merchants, so they had a great relationship that they could build upon. They had a product that would work well with our AdWords suite. And they were committed very much to building out a digital strategy. But that was 5 or 6 years ago, and this was fairly nascent in terms of what they were trying to achieve then. And I can tell you right now that some of this framework has changed to some degree. So direct sales is important to us today, but it's not as important as it was 2 years ago. We're finding a lot of our new partners are automating or programmatic sales that less and less are premise and telesales. We're also seeing that one of the biggest lessons we learned in selling to SMBs, digital products, marketing products, is the commitment on a focus on the delivery of those sales messages. And we found that where partners have sort of not been as focused as they should have been at an executive level, they failed. And so we have churned out our own partners over the years. But we have grown. And I think that when Ben got here, and I think Kristen was also, she's in the audience, we're a much smaller organization. I don't know exactly how many partners, but it was way fewer than we have today. And that's probably needs to be updated. There's a lot of partners. We have 170 partners. We're probably in at least 8 verticals. In Google, we are the fastest growing part of Google in terms of the SMB group. So we are still in a very sort of strong track for growth. But we got these swim lanes that we run in. And these are the sort of the key swim lanes that we look at our business today. And this is where we focus on in terms of how we want to evolve and diversify our business. So think about traditional media. That is something that, as much as we've done a great job and we've got some great partners in directories and newspapers, we're just now started touching on radio and broadcast. And we've still got a lot of other traditional media companies that have still yet to come on board. But we look at these markets, particularly platform, there's a market where, in terms of technology, is playing a much bigger role. And that sort of plays back into sort of the third swim lane, which is co-op. And co-op is a very, very big portion of our business, because the first area that we've made our own is automotive. It's a very big category. It's a co-op MDF style model, but there's way more for us to attack. But what we've seen in all of this is the challenge and how our business has changed in regards to working with our partners and our partners' relationship with these merchants. So the first thing I would say is 4 years ago, it was very much a focus on helping our partners in traditional media, converting from the print to the online world. And that is not necessarily the case anymore. I think we're very much in a digital world. So we're focused not so much on old versus new. It's now looking at the opportunity where lots of merchants get digital, but they're not buying advertising. And those are our partners out there doing the same thing. They're trying to convince their SMB partners to move over to a paid advertising model, a paid marketing strategy. And where 4 years ago, it's probably true to say most merchants didn't have a website, that's not necessarily the case today, and it probably doesn't even matter. Why does it not matter? It's because mobile is much, as I think somebody presented earlier today, we tipped over into mobile about 5 weeks ago at Google. So it is about presence, but it's about mobile presence. It's not about websites per se, but it's about what your presence looks like. And that's why so much of you are important in this room in terms of how those merchants are going to translate to new leads. It's not about the old school, I build a website, it's great SEO. that doesn't really matter as much as what they're really after is conversions. And that is the thing that we see lacking a great deal. But a lot of the same things still exist. So they are aware. They're more aware today, but they're still cheap, right? So the cost is still an issue for some of these smaller merchants. And that's certainly something that we've found that's not gone away. And neither has their ability to do things, right? So they have no time, right? They don't sit at computers. They have mobile phones maybe, and maybe they look at that phone outside of work occasionally. These are all challenges that still exist, and these are the challenges that we're facing in this sort of sea change as we get more sophisticated merchants. So we're doing what we do today with our partners, and it's extensive. So we have a great base to work from, but it's about actually working together with these partners. This is not about Google coming up with simple strategies and sort of dictating down to our channel partners. Our leaders in our partner management group are so invested today in collaboration. We run a lot of pilots, a lot of projects. And believe it or not, Google can be very, very flexible. We've done some really interesting things these last 6 months. There's people in this audience who are actually working with Google on certain projects that we're actually experimenting. All the same, what we're trying to figure out is diversification is what we need to do as much as our partners are doing, right? So if you think about where we are at, we did this great job of signing up big directory companies and lots of traditional media. We signed up some of the SDN platforms as part of our channel, and they're all a large part of our business. But over time, what we all know is that those businesses are going through some significant shifts themselves, and we've got to move and figure out where we're going to continue to grow our business, where we've got to find new opportunities. And diversification for us isn't just looking for new verticals. It's in the same way as working with our existing partners and trying to help them diversify their strategies for digital marketing. So one example, going back to an earlier slide, is co-op. We've discussed briefly what we've done today in automotive. It's a very successful part of Ben's book for the Americas. It's a very mature strategy in one sense, that we find that the partners we have that work in automotive are very sophisticated. They've actually figured out a lot of what is complex around co-op. But that's the only real success we've seen today in regards to the co-op story. And this is where I think, and certainly from our perspective, we want to dig deeper and find new opportunities way bigger than Google. Right? This is a much bigger opportunity than from a Google's perspective, where in the US alone, we're looking at $55 billion of spend is allocated to co-op dollars, MDF dollars. The majority of that money is coming from the OEM, the manufacturer. $5 billion of that is coming from the resellers themselves. Where the opportunity lies, and this is work that we've done, is that 50% of that allocated spend never gets spent. It just sits there, and it just never gets spent. And for the dollars that it is spent, in terms of these different types of channels, 87% get spent on non-digital. So there's three opportunities we see for ourselves, for our partners, and for you, is we've got to figure out how we can actually service better the end SMB that's looking to leverage these dollars, because at the end of the day, this is what more leads. They want more business. And what we've learned in terms of some of the lessons is that when you're working with these partners, particularly in certain categories, we are, like I said, in this example here, just give you a simple sample of where the co-op opportunity may lie. And some of these things will translate well for our business, and some of them won't. Some of them might translate better for some of you in the audience. But one market that I talked to last year at the same event when I was with Laura on the stage was the work we've been doing in high tech and B2B. And again, it's very nascent. Google's very patient. This isn't something I can talk to you right now and say this is a huge success, because it's not. But what is important for us to understand is what the opportunity is. It's a very, very large opportunity of spend. If you look at what they spend on national direct, they're spending nearly 50% of their dollars in digital. And these numbers come from their industry. So this is the industry leaders provided this information to us. Less than 1% of their MDF spend in the channel goes towards digital. And that's compounded even more. One, that most of the marketing CMOs that we've met in some of the top B2B high-tech companies weren't even really aware of that. But combine that with the fact that the work we've done with value-added resellers across the United States, and there are hundreds of thousands of them in the US, when you get them in a room to talk openly about what they want 90% of the dollars they can get in MDF to be spent on digital advertising. And right now, there's all these challenges. So I want to thank our friends at Showroom and NetCertive, because this is an example of collaboration, cooperation, transparency, and investment, both sides. Those two companies have invested very, very heavily and got little in return, right? They're moving along with us right now because they believe that somewhere down the line, we're going to start to figure this out. And there are more partners that are going to join this initiative, and we welcome more to do that, right? I think this is the problems with, in this instance, high tech. It's a process issue. So it's a legacy, a 30-year-old process. There's fantastic software out there today that manages channels for these high-tech companies. What they all don't do, however, is they don't have any real way of handling digital spend in the MDF channel strategy. So they can do all the great things about allocating budget for an event or competition, but when it comes to actually spending stuff on digital and reporting on that, all these systems don't do a great job of that right now. So we are in some ways, we're pioneering this industry. We're working with great partners, and likewise, we're finding other great partners that are coming to us and saying that they would love to help their big partners, like an IBM, actually have access, easier access to these dollars. So these are key challenges for us, and we're going to get there through hard work, because this is not easy. 6 years ago, it was easier to identify a partner in our channel to say that that partner had lots of salespeople that were selling to the local media. It was much easier for us to find those partners and sign them up into our book. But the fun we have today, like anything when it gets harder, is the results that we get from this are much more rewarding. But to do what we need to do, and these are just some examples of where we're looking at testing and iterating on those tests. And there's people in the room that we're working with in booking and CRM that are really interesting because of attribution. We're working in e-commerce. And we've been there before 2 years ago, but now we've come back and we've started to realize there's a really interesting opportunity. But again, this doesn't just happen. We're not going to solve that problem. High tech is a good example. 12 months has gone by, and we're still really early, very, very early. And the good news is we've probably signed up something like 10 large OEMs to participate, but we're still in that early stage. So when you look at the things that we can do, and the things that I think as examples in this room are that we are flexible, we are looking to collaborate. So examples of companies at the bottom there are companies that we've worked with for a year, 2 years. We're working with Buzzboard, which is a tremendous application that a lot of our traditional media company uses to help their sales guys sell more digital products, not just Google. And they recently are working with us. They've integrated a co-op strategy into their tablet platform that a number of our key partners are starting to leverage to help their sales guys be more successful in selling digital dollars. Deluxe and GoDaddy, two quite individual companies, but doing something quite similar with one of our new products in AdWords. Both of them have done a lot of great work investing their people, and we've actually put our product people to work with them to create these new products. So we are flexible. People might not think we are. And the other ones there are, the advent of CRM and local is really, really interesting. I think that's an area where I'm excited to see what happens in the next few years, like booking, where we can see some real attribution for the online to the offline world. So if you think about all these things we're trying to achieve, it's really hard to do it sort of in small steps. So one of the things that we try to do every year is hold what is this mini event, like the Google I/O event, but it's for SMBs, for local. And we invite around about 200 partners every year to come to this event, and a lot of sponsors and technology companies and consultants. And there's people in this audience that went last year and the year before, and they'll probably go this year. And we're always eager to find more participants to come, whether you're interested in providing your services or whether you're interested in actually learning more about our channel. We hold that event every year in the same place. It's in Miami, and it's an invite only. But if you're interested or have some interest, then reach out to, I think you might have my details, or you certainly got Laura's. And I'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much.